Hey, Mokuto Lukwae, Wenda Yeto, Salam Aleikum, Aleikum Bakwendem Sara, and Dula Kwame, Zambia Muni Kimbote. Good morning. Hope you all enjoy your long weekend. It's a beautiful, thundering day here in Houston, Texas. Uh, Let me tell you a story. I'll start with a story. And that story is in Africa. Let's go back to Africa. When the Europeans came to Africa, they stopped at the coast. Well, where else are the ships going to come, right? And they got out and they needed some workers to do things in the ship. Now, it was custom, well, not custom, let me find the right word here. A lot of the people that have different sexual preference used to leave their villages and they moved to the coast and they worked on salt. They made salt and they went to the villages and sold salt. So they basically knew where all the villages were because they used to go around selling the salt. So when the European came, they went up to these villages that were full of people that have different sexual preference. Now, these people were not kicked out of the villages. They just didn't feel comfortable in that village because they didn't have uh, options. They didn't have that same kind of people with the same preference living in those villages, and they wanted to fall in love and they wanted to find a partner, and they weren't finding people in those villages. You understand? So when the European came, they needed people to work for them. This was not enslaving. They actually needed people to work, according to the story. And they got out, they started talking to these people. And these people said, well, instead of you hiring them, why don't you just take them? Just take them. And then they started basically enslaving them. So when they got to Cuba, when they got to Cuba, that's where it was like when they got out, these people were hated because they betrayed their own. They betrayed their own, and they were not allowed to be in the secret societies. They were now allowed to practice a lot of their traditions because of the betrayal that they did. Not because they were not spiritual, but because of that betrayal. Okay, that's one reason, or let's say an excuse. Because I'm not the type that likes to stop people or tell people you're not allowed to do this. If you're spiritual, you're spiritual. The second reason was after Fidel Castro took over power in Cuba because of the people that didn't help him during the war. When Castro came to power, he put this law and he persecuted them. And he used to, they were captured in Cuba and taken to the sugar fields or to any type of fields, plantation fields or building, because Fidel said, I'm going to make out of this people. I'm going to get men out of this people. So Fidel basically introduced this law and got people used to it. So a lot of people didn't want to receive them and their practices or being near them because they were afraid they will also get prosecuted. They will also be thrown in jail for helping them. Understand that in Cuba, the homosexual was discriminated against. And again, I say it's not because they don't have spirituality, because they have great spirituality. It's just what happens in history. So then you have all these old people that grew up during the regime of Fidel Castro, got used to that, got used to those laws, and the reason why a lot of people don't accept it, and they don't accept them. They don't accept gay people and a lot of traditions. Now, here's another story. Awakwa was forbidden, was forbidden in Cuba for a while. So they continued their practices through Malongo, through Palo Monte, Briumba, Ibiza, whatever you want to call it. Awakwa is the secret society of men. So now you have that law that Fidel put. And now you have these people from Abacua coming into Malongo, coming into Palo, which made it worse. There's a lot of laws out there that are man made laws that we still respect. Now, when the founders of each and so made their rules, understand that was way before, especially those Almunanzos. Almunanzos is old. And the founders of these munanzos made the laws, and when we go get initiated, we make a promise, and that's one of a promise that we will not allow certain type of people with certain sexual preference, into this practice. And the other question was, what happens if you get initiated and later on you decided that you are homosexual? Some people like to give other people chances because they believe that they will not break rules. Okay? Some people in the Munanzos, and I do it, will initiate um, babies, 1 year old, 2 year old, 3 year old, for certain reasons. Um, certain things happen to babies that we have to initiate them. Or the mother was pregnant Well, when she got initiated, so that in certain munansos means that now the baby has to get initiated because it received a certain ceremony. Um, well, not initiated because when the mother gets initiated, the baby is in there. So that means when the baby comes out, the baby, we just take a little bit of blood from the baby and minga from the baby. And they do pacto, right? Now, we don't know the preferences if that kid is gonna be straight or they're gonna be homosexual. We don't know that. We don't know the future of that kid all the way there. Okay, because we have to do extensive divining for that child. But remember, this is saving a life. Now, that child grows up and that child has uh, homosexual preference. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's free to do whatever they want. That child grows up. What do we do? Well, when we initiate somebody, we make what we call a masanga that goes in the inside of the enganga. So what we do is take it out, and that's it. We understand that that person will always be from the lineage, from that lineage that they got initiated, because we cannot say, well, here, take your manga back, right? So they can always claim that lineage, except that they will be released from the house, released, because they need to understand that there are laws, man-made laws that we unfortunately have to follow. Um, so the same thing happens when you're an adult, you get initiated. Yes, a lot of times the Nganga will say, hey, listen, I see an issue here. But um, sometimes we feel, I don't want to say the word sorry for people, but sometimes, like I said in the beginning or a few minutes ago, our job is to save people's lives. There's an issue, and we as ganguleros are also, you know, play the role of doctors, healers. We need to fix people's issues, and sometimes we do unethical things, because at that time that person doesn't have those preferences. But then something happens that they decide to go on the other side or try the other side. It's a difficult topic, uh, which I don't want to use words that might make people feel uncomfortable. They think that I'm insulting because nowadays everybody gets hurt for every little thing. Um, and it happens. So what do we do? Unfortunately, we have to remove the person from the moon, and so. And the crazy thing is this: a lot of us understand that homosexuals uh, are very spiritual, and the sad part is, I defend homosexuals a lot. I have a lot of friends, uh, and the other traditions that practice espiritistas, santeros, that are very good people, and will help you, and they also understand the rules. But what I'm going to say is this: it's sad because a lot of us prefer rapists, female beaters, criminals, and we'll bring those people to the house. Oh yeah, you beat up your wife. It's okay. Hey, you have a path in this. Let's initiate you. Oh, you were locked up for this and this is this. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, Ortiz, Mukutu Lukwai, we'll initiate for this and this and this and this and this. And while the other person that we do not initiate, it's just because of a sexual preference. And that's sad. And I understand that. There are houses that will initiate, that don't care, that they didn't put those rules on their godchildren. They didn't make the godchildren take the oath. Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let anybody stop you from from moving on, from going, um, and being what you want to be. You know, Unfortunately, in our house, we follow rules, and it is what it is. You know, um, that's the Munanso that we chose. I would say a good 90% of the Munansos have the same rules, and there's few Munansos out there that don't follow rules, and they weren't affected by what happened, and they still do it. Hey, good for them, because people need help, and our job is to help them in spiritual ways. Now, don't get me wrong, I still do readings for people that have that preference. I still do ensadas for people that have that preference. I still make makutos for people that have that preference. The only thing I'm not allowed is to initiate them, but we are still allowed to service them. Well, I hope you understand. Just wanted to make another video for you guys. I know I've been out for a while. I've been concentrating on my TikTok, and I'm still concentrating on my TikTok. Been very busy. A lot of ceremonies that we've been doing, a lot of things that we've been doing that's been keeping us busy. So, anyways, salam alaikum, malaikum bakwat, malaikum bakwenden Sara, and quien Sambia Locutara con mucho Sara Sara, con mucho más in the next video. Bye bye.